Welcome, Miles. I wanted to bring you back to dig deeper into the various sites around Ireland, both northern and southern of the border. Since you were with us in September, we have delved further and spoken to friends of yours like Deborah Hatswell, Eamon Ansborough, Barry Fitzgerald, Bob Osborne, Maria Wheatley, and we were discussing a variety of bases, ETs, portals, tunnels, and a variety of different beings and entities, including the likes of fairy and interdimensional beings. Even discussing Sasquatch and mermaids here from the Emergency News Channel, who was talking us through her heat-sensitive maps for the UK and Ireland, and also looking at identifying energetics and fire heat locations. What would we see in these locations? Now, Miles, you're the expert. What would we see? What's really happening? What's creating these heat spots that we're seeing?
Well, I'm not familiar with that research, unfortunately, but and I'm really keen to hear what those maps are. But there is
tie up with feeling above ground, just because I think people are just they're just want to know about the underground thing first,
I
and
know,
then we
but no,
can
but
go
that's the
into
point. No, the whole point is that you asked me about infrared and why is it happening, and that is why that's what I'm suggesting. They're hiding themselves by being a little bit out of our space-time domain. Therefore, we would only see them in the
yeah
infrared because they're not visible in the visible spectrum.
yeah what the what we're sort of seeing and what we're getting from these maps. We're getting a heat spot, okay, and at the same time as we're getting a heat spot, we're also getting um, people experiencing like earthquakes, earth tremors. They're feeling the ground moving underneath their feet. They're also um, they're hearing the booms. We're having all of those sort of, and we're also having things where the electricity is maybe coming off, and also maybe their water is supplies are shut off too. So I mean, we're talking about a lot of movement, but it seems to be from deep underground uh, in a lot of these locations. Now, we sort of, from the maps that we sort of showed, which just were just a snapshot in time, those weren't, those were definitive of that that specific time where there was maybe 7 or 8 different heat spots, which included the likes of Limerick, just outside Limerick City to the west. We had Cork, we had Waterford, we had Clonmel, we had Carrick-on-Suir, Drogheda, and so forth. And Omagh, we had all these areas that there seemed to be sort of like an issue locally. What people were also experiencing at these times were fires, unusual fires that were happening in these national parks. The
No,
likes
but
of
what I
sort of
mean,
Kerry.
what do you mean by an unusual fire? Are you saying it's a fire that doesn't burn anything?
No, I'm saying that it's the likes of a wildfire, like a forest fire, but it's happening in February. It's like sort of, how does a forest fire start in on a wet February? Sort of, it didn't make any sense.